Okay, so for most of my life, I've been a firm believer in quality always beats quantity. That was until probably about last year when I started to slowly change this mindset. And that was because, yes, quality in theory is better than quantity, but when you truly think about what it means to get to quality, that's when my mindset started to change. You hear about quality versus quantity all the time as a creator. People tell you to have quality work, to have a quality portfolio, to make quality content, to work with quality clients, blah, 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 quality. And yes, the goal in the end is, of course, to produce quality content and to be a quality creator. But the way you get there is by quantity. People often tell you it's better to have 3 really great videos than 10 average videos. And I would normally agree with this, especially for something like portfolio and what you actually showcase. But for your everyday and daily things, I believe that quantity is better because the process of it is more realistic to maintain and to stay consistent with. Does that make sense? When you do create a portfolio, it is important to have only quality work, because the people who are going to look at your portfolio, they're not going to look at all of your videos or all of your photos or whatever creative thing that you do. They're only going to look at a few of them. And if most of them are only average, then you are giving them the wrong impression of you. So that's why it's very important to only have your very best work on your portfolio, on your website, because that is for a specific reason. Hiring. You want to be hired, you want to be recruited, you want people to hire you for the things you know you can do. And yeah, we do polish these things and we only show our very best work. That makes sense, right? You always talk higher about you rather than talking down on yourself when it comes to promoting yourself. It's more about the process of creating every day and showing up. I believe you shouldn't focus as much on the quality of work, because reality is if you do that, you're gonna be fucking exhausted, burnt out, you're never gonna be happy, you're always gonna be disappointed. Yeah, I know I just repeated that, but the point is just you're never gonna get to where you wanna be because you're focusing on the wrong things. The same goes for your resume, your cover letter. You can't put everything on there. That's just putting yourself in a position where they can see your weaknesses and what you haven't done really great. So the best type of experience you got, if you work for a big company, I would put it on there. The company you gave most value to, meaning you could have grown a social media channel, you could have received a big promotion, you could have created something for like thousands of people. Like those are really good things because it shows by measure that you have helped them in some way. Because I for long had this mindset that quality was always better than quantity, it actually stopped me and limited me from producing and making content every day. It stopped me because if it wasn't the very best work and the very best I could give, I wouldn't finish the project or I wouldn't post it because I was not satisfied with it. I was not truly, genuinely happy with the perfection of it. But this is also where the problem is, because you can't always seek for perfection. It's just not realistic, because if you're truly doing this at a professional level, you're creating content or whatever you're doing every day. And in order to and if you're creating every day, not everything can be exactly perfect. You don't have anything to look back at and say, I didn't like that, I should have done this better, I'm gonna improve this for my next task or my next piece of content. So if you always do it perfect, like there's just no growth. There's no real genuine growth, because you're just in this box of perfection, which is very toxic, very unhealthy. I think the reason why a lot of people have this mindset of only posting their very best work, it's because they're scared to be judged. That's what it is. They're scared to be judged by others. They're scared that what they do, what they create, what they post is not gonna be to the very best of their capability, and they're just scared that other people will think that their art suck and that they suck as an artist. But that's not true. It's just a very limited mindset to be thinking like that. Whatever you post on social media, you do have that little fear of judgment. I have that too. As soon as I click post, I'm like, oh, what are people gonna say? But the more you think like this, the more you're gonna stop yourself from posting, which will stop yourself from being discovered by people. It's a thing that creators have. We're scared to put our name on something we're not absolutely fucking proud of. Like, we're scared of putting our fucking little signature on it, or to say that you made something if it doesn't live up to your standards. That's what we are. We are all afraid of that. It's okay to have some of that fear, I think. It is good to like have that in mind when creating, and if that pushes you to create more, then I think that's a good thing. But where it becomes a negative thing is where you think about it so much that you stop creating. Because being a creator, especially if you're doing it like full time, like for a living, you gotta love it so much. You just like do it no matter what. Like no matter what people say, no matter if it's not perfect every time, you still do it because you just love doing it so much. It's your passion. It makes you happy. It makes you feel alive, yada yada. So that's like what's important to remind yourself about, is that you gotta do it for you, no one else. And then, you know, the craft, the skills will come along. The problem with only working on these high quality projects and only finishing the ones you absolutely love and only posting what you're absolutely proud of, the problem with all this is growth. You're not growing as fast. And to me, as a person and creator, growth is like the most important thing out there. Like growing, personal growth, self-growth, improvement, discovery, that shit is so important, because it doesn't matter if you started here or there. All that matters is that you keep progressing, that you keep moving with your years and just becoming a better version and creator of yourself. The way you stop growing is if you are scared to fail. And if you have this mindset of only posting the best work, you're scared to fail. You're scared to be judged by something that's less than perfect. And when you're scared to fail, you're not gonna improve your skills. The faster you fail, that's the faster you will also improve and become better. So in order to create quality videos, you need to have failed so much, because only then you know what to improve. Again, to illustrate what I just talked about and the topic of this episode, this is one of my favorite stories that illustrates this, and it's from David Bales and Ted Orland's book, Art and Fear. You've probably heard this before, or a version of this, but I'm gonna read this to you guys right now. So, a ceramics teacher announced on opening day that he was dividing the class into 2 groups. All those on the left side of the studio, he said, would be graded solely on the quantity of work they produced. All those on the right, solely on its quality. His procedure was simple. On the final day of class, he would bring in his bathroom scales and weigh the work of the quantity group. 50 pounds of pots rated an A, 40 pounds a B, and so on. Those being graded on quality, however, needed to produce only 1 pot, a perfect one, to get an A. Well came grading time, and a curious fact emerged. The works of highest quality were all produced by the group being graded for quantity. It seems that while the quantity group was busily churning out piles of work and learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat theorizing about perfection, and in the end had little more to show for their efforts than theories and a pile of dead clay. I love this story. A lot of people tell this story with different types of examples. So they basically to replace ceramics for photography and so on. But the story is so powerful, and it shows that quantity work will always beat quality of work if they're measured by the process of it. Work of quality is always better than work of quantity, but the progress of quantity will always beat the progress of quality. Oh, it's getting cold. I think that a lot of creators are perfectionists because we don't want to put our work on something that is not absolutely the best of what we can do. Yes, I talked a lot about kind of favoring quantity over quality, but in the end, I don't think there's a right or wrong thing. I think that it's up to you what you want to post, how often you want to post, and what content you want to post. Because we all have different goals. I think it depends on who you are, what you're trying to achieve, how much you're trying to grow, and the reason why you're doing this in the first place. Me, I am all about growth. I want to grow as a person, as a creator. I constantly want to, expand my thinking, my critical thinking, and ways I think about storytelling, and ways I can really evoke emotions and tell a powerful story. So to me, growth is important. So because growth is important for me, and also exposure is important to me. I am constantly trying to connect with people from all over the world. I'm trying to connect, get opportunities, and truly grow my personal brand. So to me, it is important to post a lot, regardless of it being the very best or not. If you post less because you're only posting quality work, then that's okay. That's totally okay. The only thing it does limit your exposure and opportunities, because the less you post, the less people are going to see of you. I know people who only post their very best work. They don't post often at all. They truly only post like amazing stuff. And their account is like only very high quality stuff. So if they started now posting lesser of a quality, yeah, people might judge them. They might lose some followers because it isn't what the person like signed up for when following you, as an example. But it just depends on like your situation and what you're trying to do with it, And I'm gonna end it kind of with this. One of my absolutely favorite quotes that I talk about a lot, I use it as a caption like every month. It's this: done is better than perfect. Think about that. It's better for you to finish a project that might not be 100% of what it can be, but you finish it. You finish it, meaning you close that door, you can open a new one, and you can like learn from your mistakes and progress. But if you never finish what you started because it's not perfect, I think you're limiting your own growth. I think you should always finish what you start, because one, it's like the commitment to yourself. Like, you were the one who wanted to start this project, now you gotta finish it. Two, if you do decide later on to finish it, I mean, that's good, but if you decided that like years later, it's gonna be really difficult for you to even find this file, because it's so long ago. You don't remember where your headspace were at. You don't remember the name of the file, which drive it's on, and so on. So just finishing it, yeah, I think that's very important. And how I'm like pushing myself all the time to create more. And that only comes from not thinking so hard whether it's perfect or not. It's just by creating. It's just creating all the time. And then eventually it will become really good. And maybe you will one day call it perfect. Perfect ending right there.